world. I'm making this video because there was an autistic kid online saying he can't live with his autism no longer. He was only a teenager and he wanted to kill himself. And I really wanted to write him a whole book so he can understand the whole complex plot life usually is. And it's never to be thrown away. But I continuously have such a huge problem, struggle with my own autism that I can just never get 2 weeks just to write my book. I am always in trouble. You know, I've struggled a lot in my life, so I'm just gonna quickly share my autistic life. I was born in the 80s and it was apparent that since the first grade at school, in elementary school, I am not a good student. They're teaching me how to count stuff. 1 plus 1 is 2. And I'm like, I can totally see all the numbers. Like, I don't have to use my fingers. I can just see the numbers. In a way that, that these numbers, they give me different feelings. And yeah, the teacher is calling me a guesser. I'm just guessing the numbers. The teacher wants to force me to count the numbers with my fingers, and I refuse that. But I've never counted before. That's when they all teach us to count, and we don't even know how to read yet. So all we know is these numbers. We know how to read numbers. We don't know how to read yet anything else. And I was just like, no, let me do it my own way. And I sucked at everything at school. I wasn't good at math. I wasn't, like, elementary school. There's nothing I can do. And the worst is the group sports, because you play something and you don't even understand, like, who's on your team and who's not on your team, because we don't have a shirt. We just get this stripe, you put it on here. So everybody has different colored shirts, and this stripe, I get fucking confused, and I never learned that, and we keep doing that since I'm a teenager, and I've never goaled in my life. And so I struggled a lot at school. In the 80s, nobody knew what autism is. There's no treatment, and I'm ever so lucky I went to school I was born in the 80s and not in the 90s, because if I had been born in the 90s or later, they would have probably, if I had been born in the 90s, they would have said, hey, why don't you, sweet 8-year-old baby boy, here's some amphetamine. Take a pill of amphetamine every single day so you concentrate better at school. So you'd be like, you can't move when you're just staring at the screen, the blackboard. No. Like, that would have been absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to me if I had been living in that time when they didn't know autism, but gave amphetamine to everybody who seemed a bit, just like a jock who wants to do sports instead of sitting still and listen to some boring lady talk about some stupid lady stuff. Because there's no male presence at school. How can a sportsman be like, I want to grow up just to be like that lady there? No, that boy needs a male model. So if there's no male teachers, no wonder you have to give them fucking amphetamine to keep them still. Boys like different stuff than girls. So, lucky I never got any medication for anything for my brain. This brain is untouched by anything besides caffeine and weed and alcohol. Not proud of it, but still better than having tried some amphetamine pills as a kid. Right? So I struggled a lot at school, but when I got really, really, really horny, it was that time I just knew that I had to get laid, and as I wasn't a jog, I didn't know how to I didn't got that jog gene in me. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do sports. Even single sports, there was nothing I was particularly good at. I mean, I had an autistic interest in kung fu, but of course we don't do kung fu, so because I'm not going to school in China, so there they actually do kung fu in the sports class. But yes, no, not in China. Even though 我是一个中国人，在我的经历我是一个中国人，这个北京人在我的心为中国。Anyway, right. I just remembered that now I'm not the only guy who does this sort of Chinese talk in the middle, so I'm not the only one anymore, so I better stop doing it. Anyway, because I really needed to get laid, I thought, okay, then I guess money is the only thing that would help me to get laid, because there's nothing else going on for me in that department. So what I can do is get rich. How do I get rich? Well, I didn't think that I would just buy a ticket of lottery and get rich. I thought, well, if I work hard, I will get rich. What will help me to work hard? Well, I need a good solid brain on my shoulders. And so I start to really pay attention at school, and I still cannot understand jack shit what the teacher is talking about in any subject, so I feel like I'm going to school for absolutely nothing. I don't learn anything here. However, what I did different this time around was that because of my horniness, I also picked up a book at home and studied that. So when I read it myself, I could read very slow. I was by far probably the slowest reader. Because I could read the same pace as everybody else when I have to read out loud, but I cannot concentrate on what I'm reading. I just turn it into sounds, but I have no recollection of what I just read. I really have to read it slow to actually understand what it's saying. Even though I only have one tongue, it's not like I was speaking a different language, and that's why it was difficult. And it's not English, it's just something I picked up later in life. So yeah, I'm very fluent in my own tongue, and which is actually cool because it's like a Native American tongue, which I'm very fluent in and studied in that. Anyway, comparable, but not from America. I'm running out of time here soon and video space. However, just quick shout out to those autistic people in need. So I became top of my class in every subject besides sports and handicraft and cooking, home ed. Because I started to read the books. I hit the books so hard. Yeah. And then I got accepted into the third best high school of the country, and I went to a university, and nobody had. My parents didn't encourage me to go to high school. They encouraged me to go to vocational school because they just thought, well, yeah, that kid is not so smart, so he'd better. That's what he can do. Like, yeah, he's smart in a different way, not like just he's not cut out for maybe vocational school. So I was thinking like, okay, well, there's actually a lot of vocations I'd love to do. For example, driving a car, a bus, a truck, the garbage truck, the snow blower, the ambulance, taxi, cab. Heck, I am. When everybody else was drawing the stick figures as a small kid, maybe at 5, I was drawing very precise renditions of the meters and the gauges in cars. You know, I was just really into cars, and I really wanted to say like, yeah, I would like to go to vocational school when my dad approached the subject. And but the thing was that I was so bullied at school that I didn't want to go to the same school as the people that bullied me went to, the vocational school. So that was my number one motivation to go to high school. But I would have totally preferred to be a professional driver than a chauffeur, than or logistics expert, and I would have totally preferred to become a plumber or anything else than go to high school. But because everybody who bullied me went there, I didn't want to go there, so I went to high school, got into university, and this I like nobody knew I was autistic. I have no diagnosis, so I actually did it all on my own. And even after the high school, my mother encouraged me to go to a polytechnical school. So I was always encouraged to go to vocational route because it's love, it's solid salary, uh, less bullshit. That's love. That's good advice. So I went to university anyway uh, because I felt like I have constant autistic pain, and if there's no relief from the pain, I rather do something that's really worthwhile. So apply to 2 things for this polytechnical career to change the world from safe to curb the climate change and help corporations to curb the climate change and get revenue from curbing the climate change. There was a new field of study in a polytechnical school, so I decided I'll do that then. So I want to do something useful, and so then I ended up taking the university exam because university is more appreciated and it's at the same day. So I just figured, well, it's like fate telling me to apply to that university, so I'm just gonna go. And my parents, my father is a master, has masters at a university, and he's even he even somebody like but so anyway, I sorry, my fever is rising. I have COVID, so there's like a little bit of advice to the autist people if I die of COVID. Anyway, I blaze trail my way to the university through all these struggles with learning, and I make it. I become top of my class. Some pretty girls ask me to help them to study, and I really want to get laid. And then I meet a girl who tells me this sob story that it's a matter of life and death to her unless I help her to escape her home country. She's a master's student at my university. We study different subjects, and she comes from far away, and it is widely considered that having the passport of my country is way better than having a passport of her country. And she tells me this life and death story, and like how she's gonna die within 1 year or 2 years if she has to go back to her home country, and I should help her. And so we come up with this scam that I marry her, but we don't take it too seriously. We're gonna have sex for the first time in our lives, in both of our in both of our lives. First time we're gonna have I've never had sex. She's kind of had sex. She's made love, but she hasn't put anything in her pussy, so she's kind of first timer. So she says she wants to wait till the marriage, the wedding night, and we don't take it too seriously. And if we are just a young modern Western couple, even though she's not, and what we will do is that we try make love on our wedding night, and if our chemistry is right, we'll stay a couple. If not, we'll stay friends and fuck other people and stay married, so she's safe. And she has plenty of money on her bank account, so I understand that she's not after financial benefits. So I tell her, okay, I will marry you if you do not apply for any benefits from my country, because my country doesn't suffer of her being a citizen unless she starts to getting benefits, right? And using the hospital services, and like, so I just want to keep it like, okay, you go to hospital, you pay for